Hello, and welcome to Ask John. This is a show where John invites important people to ask him questions about important topics and sometimes some not so important topics. And sometimes John, that's me, sometimes John will be asking the questions. Today, we're here with Melanie Morgan. Welcome, Melanie.
Hey, how are you, John?
I'm doing great. How are you?
This is fun. I'm doing great.
Melanie is a longtime Bay Area radio and television personality. You probably have seen her on KGO, and you probably didn't see her on KGO, but you heard her on KGO and KSFO radio.
You might have done both, actually. I was on KGO TV and on KGO radio and KSFO.
But they didn't see you on the radio, did they?
Well, they did on TV, because I did TV before the radio.
Okay.
But that was a long time ago.
Okay, good. Well, all right, I stand corrected. Or actually, I stand...
Correct.
Correct, exactly. And today we are here in my office.
No.
No, no, I guess you're right.
No.
Melanie, doesn't this look like my office? You've
not
seen
really.
my office.
No.
It doesn't look like my office.
Not at all.
Okay, well, all right, I'm caught.
Busted.
We're at Busted. Right now we're at Novato Community TV Studio, and well, if you look at this background, and if you've watched any of Novato Community TV, you know that this is not my office. This just looks like rearranged.
It's a fake office.
It's just
it
like
works.
all the other, And Pam Heskley is not here today, but Marcus Oken is at the controls, and Nick is here helping out. I'm not sure what Nick is doing, but Nick is a great help, and I think we're ready to go. Melanie, I have this problem, and it's just difficult for me. I'm starstruck.
Oh, come on, John.
I'm so nervous being around a celebrity. Sometimes I'm just not sure what to say. And do you remember that the first? And we talk quite a lot. I mean, we see each other about once a week for coffee, and with a small group. And the first time I met you, I called you Morgany Mellon. Yeah,
I'd forgotten that. I do remember that now, John.
So I'm just owning up to it, and I feel better already. What do you do? How do you react when you meet a celebrity?
Well, probably the same way you do. I get nervous. You know, I have the same thoughts as anybody else when I meet a celebrity, and I've had the opportunity to do that. But, you know, the thing that I really try to remember is that I have to be dazzling and fabulous, of course.
And you are.
Well, thank you. I try hard. Okay. But, you know, I get nervous and I start wondering, am I talking too much? Am I talking too much? Am I still talking? Am I saying anything that's interesting? Usually not so much. Yeah. So I just, try to move away as quickly as possible.
Well, I haven't met a whole lot of celebrities. I almost met Arnold Schwarzenegger once. He just went skiing right by me. This was quite a long while ago. It was before he was governor. And I was probably on the ground picking myself up from the third crash down the hill, and he just came slushing down. It was beautiful to see the way he was skiing. And it took me another hour to get down to the bottom, and as I got there, I took my skis off and started walking into the lodge, and he came out, and he looked right at me. He was standing right there.
So it was a near meet.
It was a near miss. And I could have put my hand, he would have shaken, I know he would, and all I did is I just stood there. And my son walks over to me and he bumps me and he says, "Dad, what are you doing? Come on, Dad."
Come on.
He was so disgusted. He was 17 years old, so
well, they get embarrassed easily, yeah. Any other stars?
Well, I sort of met Sharon Stone.
Whoa.
I did.
No, seriously, you did or didn't meet?
No, I learned something from my encounter with Sharon Stone. You know how in the U.S. we say if you lose all your money, you lost your shirt?
Yes.
In Italy, they say you lost your pants. I lost my pants. That's what they say in Italy. And I learned that in the shoot. And she said, well, I probably can't talk about this on TV.
You're not going to tell us?
I don't think. She told me she did. She told me that I had nice legs.
Oh my goodness, she would know, basically. Very instinctive maneuver on her part.
It was just instinctive, because she wouldn't have, so you get it.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, maybe I'll tell you later.
I have to hear this story, by the way, folks. We've got to hear this story because this, come Come on, you are gonna share it,
Not
right?
now. Not now.
Not now. All right. Well, I will take that as maybe later.
That is
but I'm going to pester you. You know.
That's definitely maybe later.
Okay.
Definitely maybe later.
Well, what about Rick Edelman? Have you met him?
I did. Well, I did meet Rick Edelman, and it was kind of different because I already knew who he was, and I had a business relationship with him for a year or two, and then he invited me to his home office along with 20 other advisors, and.
Did he introduce himself as Rice Delman?
No, he didn't.
No,
but
that came later.
Yeah, and so it was different, but I'm a big fan of Rick Edelman. The truth is, I'm in awe of him and what he's accomplished, and how generous he is with nurses and teachers, and offering free planning, and
That's pretty amazing. But what about Sharon Stone?
yeah.
I need to know. Sharon Stone.
Melanie, what are you here for? Were you going to ask me some questions?
Oh, that's right. I was going to ask you a couple of questions. Okay, you told me during one of our earlier coffee conversations that there are two kinds of investment advisors, and I want to know what they are and what does that mean?
Okay, well, that's a really good question. There are active investors, and the active investors call the other of us, they call us passive, but we're not passive. But that's the two, the active and passive, and I'll explain to you why passive investors are not at all passive. But first, let me tell you a little bit about the active investors. They're very much into buying and selling and market timing and stock picking, and a lot of them are analysts. A lot of them are really smart, educated people, and so they're stock analysts. They analyze stocks, and they analyze the companies, and they analyze the market, and they analyze the economy, and they're prognosticators. So they're always trying to determine in advance what a particular security might do, what a certain stock might do, and they're trying to figure out in advance what the economy is going to do, and what that sector is going to do. So they're really smart people, and they work really hard, but they do pick stocks. And what they try to do is they try to pick a few stocks that might do better than all of the other stocks. And
I bet that's hard.
it's a very, very difficult thing to do. And sometimes it works.
Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. It's very difficult. These advisors are more likely to be the ones who would call you one evening and tell you that the security that you bought, that they advised you to buy 6 months ago, is the exact thing that you should be selling right now. And
are you that kind of financial advisor?
I am not that kind of financial advisor.
Got it.
And I'm glad I'm not, because I don't want to have. I like to have a tighter, closer relationship with my clients, and I like to be focused on the clients. One thing we do is something that is sometimes called asset class investing. Marcus, would you put that chart up, please?
Yeah. Because I'm curious about this other type of investing.
Yeah. So what we're looking at is a portfolio of stocks and bonds. And if you look up to the top left, we're looking at a portfolio of stocks, and looking down there, those were domestic stocks, and below are international stocks. And on the right side, we have bonds, and below we have real estate, natural resources, and something called exponential technology. We may talk about that a little later. These are all asset classes. So U.S. large cap, looking up again at the stocks, U.S. large cap value, U.S. large cap growth, each one of those are asset classes. So we're actually diversified over 19 different asset classes.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about diversification, because that's a term I've heard in any conversation with a financial advisor. Is you need to be diversified, but I don't really understand what that means.
Right. Looking at this chart again, now looking at each one of these asset classes, just starting up in the upper left-hand corner, we're looking at U.S. large cap value, and we are in U.S. large cap value, we're probably holding, 500 to 1,000 securities, and another probably in the small cap category, we may be talking about 4,500 securities, quite a few. So this whole portfolio may consist of 8 to 12,000 securities.
That's a lot.
So you're incredibly diversified.
Well, okay, so then what I'm hearing you say to me is that diversification equals less risk. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. Yeah, so think of it like this. If you owned the stock in one company, and that's all you owned, your entire portfolio was stock in one company, what's the worst that could happen?
You could lose everything.
What percentage rate of decrease might you have?
0.
Well, yeah, you could lose 100%, right?
I could lose
You could lose
100% of everything.
So if instead you have 10,000 securities, and that same security went down to 0, how much do you think you lost? Not very much,
No.
right? Not very much. And what's the highest any one of those securities might increase?
Into infinity and beyond.
And beyond, yeah. So, it could double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, whatever. So you see how that helps you out.
I finally I get it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
diversification means that you're eliminating the chance of wiping out your entire portfolio. And you're exponentially increasing the chances of making a lot of money, whether it's short-term or long-term, depending on how you're invested.
Yeah. You're probably not going to, okay, I need to correct two things you said. You probably haven't increased your chances of making a whole lot more money.
Yeah.
Because those that doubled and quintupled still are a very small portion. And the other thing, did you say eliminate? Well, that's fine for you to say. I can't use that word because you never eliminate. Is there a possibility that all 10,000 securities could?
Probably not.
But is there a possibility?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's still some risk.
There's always some risk in the
But
market.
You see how we've really
Assets.
reduced the risk by diversifying.
Okay, so how is it different from allocating? Diversifying versus allocating?
Right. So, okay, looking at the chart again. We're allocated over 19, we have 19 different asset classes. Okay, what was your question?
Allocation versus diversification. How is it different from allocating?
Right. So we're diversified, and we have an allocation. Looking at the chart here, we got 40%. In stocks, domestic stocks, 10% in international stocks, 35% in bonds, and 15% in other. So that's the allocation. The allocation is actually 65-35, 65% stocks and 35% bonds and cash. So that would be a moderate portfolio. If you wanted to be more aggressive, you could have 100% in stocks. And someone who's very young and has a lot of money, has a lot of time.
They might be.
They could go 100% stocks. That wouldn't be such a bad thing. Someone who's close to retirement or in retirement, that's not a good place for them. In some cases, the 65-35, the moderate portfolio, that could be okay. But in many cases, it should be closer to 50-50. And
so how do you decide?
Some people like my 92-year-old mother probably ought to be 20-80, you see.
Yeah, for sure. But so is age the criteria, or what are the factors that go into allocation?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. I figure it out mainly through doing a financial plan. And in the plan, we're doing a risk tolerance analysis, and that gives us a whole lot of information. But we're also taking a look at goals, objectives, and so forth, and the timing of those goals and objectives. And we're looking at the cash flow, when you need the money, and what are your expenses, and when do you have those expenses, and when does the cash stop, when does the retirement income come in? We take a look at all those things, and that is what helps us figure out what allocation we should have.
All right. Well, one of the things that my husband and I go back and forth on all the time is budgeting. Budgeting.
No. I do not want to hear the B word. I do not want to hear the B word.
I hate it myself. We have this discussion nonstop. Come on, I got to sit down and budget. No. It is good sometimes, though, isn't it?
No, I think it's good. I don't want to do it.
I don't blame you.
And most of my clients don't want me to do
Hate
it
it.
for them. Or I was going to say do it to them. No, my clients don't want me to. They don't like, and it's not that useful. In some cases it is, but I'm not really interested in telling you how to spend your money. I'm more interested to know how you want to spend your money, and then I want to help you find a way to buy those things you want to buy and live the way you want to live. Often we do what I call an expense. We put together an expense spreadsheet to figure out how you're spending your money, but that in no way tells you, at least it's not my recommendation, is how you should spend it. When we identify your expenses, then you are more likely to take a look at your priorities.
I hate
and
that.
So that's helpful. That's helpful. And,
I know you need to do it.
Yeah, and, well, some people, and I never really press this issue with my clients, but I would say most of my clients do that.
Yeah.
Most of them do it. But there's quite a few who don't, and I never push it. They do it because they want to, and they find value in it. The main thing I want to know is I want to know how much you're spending. That's really important. It's important to know how much you're spending, and it's important to know how much you intend to spend when you retire.
Okay, so we've dealt with budgeting, or the B word, as you like to refer to it. What is a financial plan? Because I know that's your goal for all of us, is to have a financial plan. It's something that pretty much everybody needs, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, you think so?
That's what I do.
Yeah,
that's what I do. It's incredibly useful. We were talking over lunch about how we're planning for the future. We all talk about planning for the future. I don't think so. I think we're planning for now. I think the real value is what you get out of it now when you plan for the future. Because we all worry about what our future is going to be. And when we start doing the planning, we might identify things that we don't really like a whole lot, but we stop worrying because we know what the situation is and we know what the solutions are. Maybe sometimes the solution is, hey, I'm going to have to work a little longer. And that might not be such a bad thing.
Well, we're living longer, right?
Well, that's right.
Hopefully.
That's exactly right.
From my lips to God's ears. Well, tell me a little bit more about the financial plan and what you would prepare for us, you know, if I were sitting down in your office.
Well, we take a look at mainly we're looking at your goals and objectives. We're helping you prepare for retirement, for education planning. Are your children going to school? And by the way, what's most important? Do you take care of your retirement before you take care of your children's education? It's a really tough thing. A lot of people start investing and saving for their children's education and neglect their own retirement. And then what happens when they get along to retirement age? And the children are going to take care of them. I mean, it's a tough thing.
It is. You know, I think the 24 hours after my son was born, I started socking away money, and I didn't even think about retirement really until years and years later.
Yeah.
We got kind of lucky because there was some money from a 401k, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I really should have had a better plan. And I really wish you had been in my coffee group a lot earlier than you are, John, honestly.
Well, I would have helped you. And then we're taking a look at disability, what happens if you're disabled, long-term care needs, wills and trusts and taxes. I don't do people's taxes, but I do a tax analysis as part of the financial plan. Of course, we refer all of these to appropriate professionals to do the tax planning and to do the wills and trusts and so forth.
Well, that's important because I was just thinking about this the other day. I've started a new business, and I have no idea what kind of tax consequences this new business is going to have because I've done it a certain way for a long time. So that's an important consideration, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's one of the cases where we would update a financial plan. I love it when I'm working with a client and I have all the data and I know what they're trying to accomplish, and then all of a sudden something happens. They sell their business, or they buy a new business, or they get an inheritance. It's kind of a curveball. But I love it because we're so prepared. We already have all the data, and I already know what's in their minds and what they want to get out of life. And that's where I feel like I'm really valuable to them.
Yeah, that one-on-one relationship. Yeah. And you were talking earlier about you like to update plans fairly regularly, right?
Right. My default is quarterly.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, quarterly reviews would be the way to go. And it didn't take me very long to learn that not all of my clients want to see me every 3 months.
We like you, John, but I'm not sure we like you that much.
So,
all right. Who needs a financial plan?
So this is what I do when I'm finished with a review meeting. Before they leave, I schedule the next appointment, and usually that's 4 or 5 months in advance.
Okay.
So I have my calendar already booked into January, February, March.
Okay, so who needs this financial plan? Is it everybody? Is it your cousin Herman? Is it Uncle Joe, who's kind of crazy and we don't like to talk about him? Or
all of my clients need a financial plan.
Okay.
All of my investment clients need a financial plan because I don't know how to advise them on their investments if I don't do a plan for them. That's how I get my data.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Exponential technology is a subject of which I have no idea what you're talking about. Tell me what exponential technology is, because I know that you think that this is important.
Yeah, and my connection to Rick Edelman, and he wrote a book called, what was his book called?
Let's see.
The Truth About Your Future.
That's it.
And it talks about he's kind of a guru on exponential technology.
I know.
Very, very successful.
I've heard him talk about it.
Yeah, very successful advisor, but he's put a lot of time and effort, and he's given seminars on exponential technology. Exponential technology is about the technology growing exponentially. I think they used to say that the effectiveness of the technology doubles every 7 years. I think now they're saying every 5 years. I'm not sure, but it doubles, let's say, every 5 years. And the cost decreases by half every 5 years. So that's the exponential part of it.
Oh.
But the big thing is how it's going to impact our lives over the long run. And Rick actually put together this fund. He actually had another company create a fund. He didn't really take any ownership in it, but he convinced them. There's all kinds of technology funds out there right now. And Rick says, okay, they're all invested in technology companies, but there are going to be so many companies that are going to benefit by this technology. Let's own them. So for example, the fund might own Pizza Hut. Well, they're not a technology company. Why would? Yeah. So
what up?
So the Xbox is the technology, and the kids are playing on Xbox. They pause it, and they can order a pizza from Pizza Hut right there. So
now I get it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of companies that are benefiting by this exponential technology.
Just a quick aside on that.
Yeah.
I was in Iraq covering our soldiers who are serving in harm's way, and the young ones, the 18, 19, 21-year-olds, all had Xboxes. And at the time, I had no idea really what Xbox was, despite the fact that I had 2 boys, because I was kind of like a avert your eyes away from technology thing. But, that's extremely important technology because they learn how to manipulate.
Oh, I see. That's training. Yes, training. Yeah.
Manipulation is training.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
That is amazing.
Okay, so we've been talking about technology. We've been talking about people who live longer and healthier, and what kind of
and already I've seen in the last 10 years or so many of my clients are choosing not to retire. They're working through retirement, sometimes because they need to, but often because they just want to. If you're going to have a 30-year retirement, what are you going to do? Are you going to clip coupons? I don't get it.
No.
Why not find your dream job?
You know what happens a lot of times is people start volunteering after retirement, and then they find a second career.
Right.
That can really mess with your financial plan in a good way.
In a good way, yeah. In a good way. And I kind of enjoy it when I have clients that find that path. It's really sweet. But with technology, we're kind of living in a brave new world. People are going to live longer. And the good news is they're going to live more healthy because of the technology that's keeping people alive longer is also going to keep people healthy longer. I mean, we're having joint replacement, so arthritis is not such a big deal. And, I'm getting ready for my second one. But what a blessing that is to know that I'm not going to be crippled, that I'll be able to get around. And so I might have a long retirement, I might have a long life, but it could be a productive life. So you could have a second career.
And so your planning takes into account all of these possibilities.
Exactly, yeah. So for example, young people today get out of school, they might find a career, and in 10 years that career might go away because some robot figured out how to do what they learned to do, and so they might have a retirement. They might have retirement for 2 or 3 years while they retrain. So they've got to prepare for that. They've got to save money for a retirement, maybe a short-term retirement while they start another career.
So each client would have an investment portfolio that's completely appropriate for them.
That's exactly the way we work at, yeah.
So it's diversified.
Yeah, that's right.
8 to 10,000 stocks.
Yep.
Okay. But wouldn't it be better to just buy the stocks that are going to do the best?
What did you say?
I said buy the stocks
Buy
that
the
are
stocks that'll do the best.
do the best.
That's brilliant. That's exactly, that would be great.
Thank you.
So which stocks should we be buying?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know.
And so we just.
I'm not a stock picker,
We just
I guess.
don't. Yeah, we just don't know. It's risky. It's
Yeah.
risky to try to pick the stocks that we think will beat the market.
Well, why don't we just get out of the market then before it crashes?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, I think this is another blonde moment that we're having. Okay.
So do you remember in 2008, 2009 when the market was just going down and down and down and
Yes.
down? And then do you remember March 9th, 2009?
No.
Do you know the significance of that date?
I have no idea.
That was my mother's 84th birthday.
Well, how lovely. I'm sure
Yeah.
you gave her a very nice party.
She's had many birthdays since then, and she's still doing great. But also March 9th, 2009 was the bottom of the market. That's when it hit bottom and started recovering.
But we didn't know
Do you
it.
remember? Well, we didn't know. We didn't know. The market was going up and up those few weeks and few months. And do you remember back then when a lot of smart people were saying, this is going to be a double dip recession?
I do remember that. And I remember a lot of people being so afraid because there was no place to run, no place to hide, whether it was bonds or stocks or whatever. And they thought, okay, now it's the end of this horrible downturn, right?
Right.
But we didn't know.
We didn't know.
No.
Yeah, we didn't know.
Okay, I get
And
it.
so if you thought it was going to be a double dip recession, you might have gotten out, you might have stayed out, waiting for it really to take off. And what would you have missed? The market has doubled and tripled.
Record
since
high
those days.
market.
We have a record high market
Yeah.
today, yeah.
Yeah, we would have
So-
missed out on all of that
And
again.
how do you know when to get back in?
I don't know
So
how to get
You have to
back
write
in.
twice. You have to be right when to get out, and then you have to be right when to get back in.
So what you're trying to tell me is diversification is a great thing.
Yeah, and I'm also telling you that if you are a long-term investor, and all investors ought to be long-term, if you're short-term, you shouldn't be investing. If you're a long-term investor, you should stay in. You shouldn't try to time the market. You should just stay in. And I think that's the value that I bring to my clients. Probably the biggest value. I bring a lot of value to my clients, but I think the biggest thing that I do, and especially in this last 8 years or so, is during every review meeting, I remind them that it's not always going to be this good. The market, we've had 8 years of really stupendous returns, and people are happy about that, and it's going to turn around one day. And if you're not prepared for it, you might freak out, you might bail out, and that would be a killer. That'd be the wrong time to do it.
Yeah. I realize now that it's super important to keep drinking coffee with you. So
Okay.
let's cheers that. Always educational. Are we about done here? Mm-hmm. Oh, whoa, wait 1 minute. Wait a minute, John. You're not getting out of here that easily because I have to know about Sharon Stone. I got to hear the story. I told you I was going to pester you about this. Come on, you can't just give me a deep sigh and look off into the middle distance.
I don't think I can.
What do you mean you don't think?
I can probably tell you this story later, but
No,
I think
no,
I have to do it off camera.
No.
Yeah, it's quite a story.
Really?
Listen, I'd like to tell you another story.
Okay, tell me another
Okay.
story.
This is a story about, it's not about the money. And we've been talking about money, right? And
Right.
I'm going to tell you a story about not about the money, and I'm not sure what the significance of this is, but I like to tell the story because I get such nice reactions to it. When someone says it's not about the money, what do you think?
It's always about the money.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody says that. It's not about the money. Oh, yeah, that's about the money.
It's about the money.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story that it wasn't about the money. I was sitting in Starbucks about a year ago and having coffee, and this young man walked in, his mid-20s, and he looked like a street person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he threw his backpack on the chair right next to me and his jacket on top of it. And then he scooted both of them off and he sat down. And he's on the phone and he says, "No, well, I don't know why you've done it before. I just need $50. I just need $50. Just $50. That's all I need. I just need $50. Well, Then the phone goes dead, right?
Right.
And I'm thinking that it's not about the $50.
What's it about?
I don't know. It's about these kids. It's about this kid who has someone, a parent, mother or father, who has probably given him a lot of $50. And it hasn't done good. He didn't go out and get a job like they wanted him to. He didn't go back to school. He didn't, whatever. And it's about the connection. It's not about the money. It's about the love. It's about the missing connection. And so I sat there, and I just happened to have a $100 bill in my wallet, which we always carry 20s, right? But I just happened to have this $100 bill, and I kept thinking about I wanted to give it to him, and then I kept thinking, he'll just blow it, and it's not about the money, right?
It's not about the money.
But he got up and he walked out. I knew he was coming back because he left his backpack and jacket there, and I sat there. And I sat there thinking about it. I got my wallet out and I pulled the $100 bill out, just a little bit, and I thought about putting it on his chair. And then I thought about how do I feel about putting this $100 bill on his chair? How do I feel about that? Melanie, I didn't feel good about it.
No.
I felt like it wouldn't do any good, and it might even do some harm. I just didn't know. I didn't know. It might have done a lot of good, but I just didn't know, so I didn't feel good about it. So I put it back, and I asked myself, how do you feel about not putting it there? And I felt like I was missing a big opportunity.
Really?
It's the only thing I could think of. I was missing a big opportunity to do something. And so he was gone, and I put the $100 bill on his jacket, and I got up and walked out. So I have no idea. I don't even know if the kid got the money. I don't even know. He might have come in, he was in such a state, he might have just grabbed his jacket and backpack and walked out, or maybe somebody else picked it up. Who knows?
So what's the point of this story?
I don't know. The point of the story is that it's not about the money.
It's not about
the money. And that's what I deal with. I deal with money. That's what I deal with. And you know what? It's not about the money. It's about how you feel in your life and what the money could do for you.
So what about Sharon Stone?
So,
You're not going to tell me.
Melanie, I am so glad you joined us this afternoon.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate it. Being invited here to hear your stories.
On the first episode of Ask John, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, anytime.
And thank all of you for joining us. I think I might be back. We might have a couple more episodes of this show, and I hope Melanie comes back one day for that.
Just remember, it's not about the money, and he's not going to talk about Sharon Stone.
And thank you for joining us. Until next time. And Sharon Stone did this television commercial that aired in Italy, but they shot it in Oakland.
Okay.
And so, I do have this sort of a hobby of acting, and I've done a lot of television commercials. And so I got a call. They wanted me to be an extra in this show. So I told you that in Italy, you don't lose your shirt, you lose your pants.
Yeah.
So,
and the expression, that is.
Right, yeah. So the casting director called me, which is really odd for a casting director to call, and I think he was just having a lot of fun. He said, okay, John, I'm calling you about wardrobe. I want you to be there at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, but I'm calling you about wardrobe. You have a conservative tie. I want you to wear a conservative shirt, like a blue shirt, conservative jacket, kind of like what I have on now. And dark dress shoes and dark socks.
Okay.
I said, what are we missing here? What are we missing here? Shirt, jacket, shoes.
Pants.
What are we missing here? And then he started laughing. He said, now, you can wear boxers or briefs. He said a lot of the people there in the shoot will be wearing both, boxers and briefs, right?
Oh my God, where's this story going?
The deal is there were 60 or 70 of us, men and women, dressed like that downtown Oakland. They closed the street down, for the shoot, like they do normally. But we just were walking around this bank in Oakland, and just kind of getting background shots.
And then, of course, Sharon Stone wasn't on the set.
Clearly, she doesn't know the real John Reuscher.